Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. On today's episode, I will be talking about how I grew my newsletter to 1,000 subscribers and how I first created social media for my newsletter. Um, just a refresher, my newsletter is called The Simple American, and it's a 1-minute daily brief of the news that gets sent out nightly. It's in bullet point form, it's quick, it's a 1-minute read, and it's unbiased. I just tell you the facts, exactly what happened. It's the 8 to 12 most important things in my mind that happened in the day. So I kind of mentioned before, I got to my first 100 subscribers through just sending it out to close people I knew, like old teammates, family, friends, and kind of word of mouth. And then I posted it to my Instagram story and asked people that followed me to subscribe. That was how I got to like my first 100, maybe a little bit more. How I got to my first 1,000 was a little bit different. I literally went to everyone I was following on Instagram, which was probably about 1,000 people, and I sent an individual direct message to probably 600 to 700 people that I'd followed. Now these were people that I've known from middle school, from elementary school, I went to two separate high schools. From both high schools, I took 2 gap years playing junior hockey, so guys from those teams. I went to college for 4 years, so people I knew in college. I would DM anyone that I knew, regardless if I talked to them in 10 years, if I knew them well, if they were my friend, whatever. It didn't matter. And I would send a message and just say, hey, whatever their name was, hope all's well. I'm writing this newsletter. Please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I'd send them the link. And it worked pretty well. That probably got me up to 800 or 900 subscribers after I did that. And so that's where I sat around that point. After that, I ended up getting the paid version of Beehive, which is the platform that I write my newsletter off of. The paid version, I think I was paying maybe $25 to $35 a month, but the paid version gives you a lot of different features that the unpaid version didn't. And one of those features was something called boosts. And what it was I could go into the platform and say, okay, I'd like to pay $2 of a subscriber. And other newsletters would see my posting and would say, oh, okay, I'll recommend your newsletter to my subscribers. And every one of my subscribers that subscribes to my newsletter, I would have to pay that person $2 per subscriber. So for example, let's say a newsletter, an example, one called, it was a prayer newsletter, a religious newsletter, wanted to recommend my newsletter. I accepted and allowed them to recommend mine to their subscribers. And every subscriber they'd send me, so say 100 subscribers of theirs ended up subscribing to my newsletter, I paid that newsletter $200 for 100 subscribers because they recommended me. And that was what got me over the hump. That was what got me to my first 1,000. So those were the two big things. Individual DMs. I know it might be awkward. I know it might seem weird, but at the end of the day, I wanted to grow my newsletter, and I don't have anything to lose. I know that I hadn't spoken to maybe some of these people in a while. I wasn't that close. It is what it is. They didn't have to subscribe. Either I got people to say, heck yeah, and they'd subscribe, or people just wouldn't answer. I mean, what are you going to do? So that was kind of how I got to my first 1,000. I used Instagram DMs, and I used paid version of Beehive to use boosts for other newsletters to recommend mine to their subscribers. And that seemed to work really well. About at this point, I sit at about, let me see here. I sit at about 2,352 subscribers, and I'm continuing to grow, but this is kind of how I got my first 1,000. Another thing is I started to create social media for my newsletter. Now, my social media is in the very beginning stages. It's not that great. It's not that complex. I need to get a lot better at it, and I need a little bit of help with it. I created an Instagram account for it. I created an X account for it. That's kind of where I am. I haven't yet used the Instagram account. I kind of just have the handle saved. But the X account, what I do is every day, whatever my biggest story is in my newsletter, I post it on X, and then below it, I do a reply to that post with a couple of the bullets from a newsletter, kind of like a teaser, and then I put a link to my newsletter and say, please subscribe. If you want the rest of the daily news brief, it's free. And that's kind of what I did there. And I just do that consistently. Just grow it a little bit. I've even gotten a few subscribers off of just sending out social media posts on X. So that's just kind of something I'm doing to get my feet wet in the social media game for my newsletter. But yeah, that's kind of the story of how I got my first 1,000 subscribers, kind of how I'm getting started with the social media. I'm very new and very, it's the very beginning stages of that, but that's kind of where I am, and I'm still growing. In the next episode, I will talk more about how I adjusted my landing page so that I was able to convert more people that went and saw it to subscribe to my newsletter. I would kind of change. I will talk about how I added things to the landing page to make it look more professional, more appealing, and kind of how that changed the amount of people that were subscribing. But that's it for this video. I appreciate everyone listening. I will leave a link to my newsletter in the description. Please subscribe, and please like and subscribe this video. Thank you guys all, and we'll see you next time.